What other crazy titles do we have here? She calls Brian misogynistic for this. Okay. Maybe he
We
is.
were starting to talk about misogyny, and it was your view that this podcast is misogynistic.
I think he's pretty careful to like walk the line of like kind of just being butthurt and not quite misogynistic, but the chat is definitely misogynistic. Those dudes are insane.
Is that correct? I don't want to put words in your mouth.
I think that a lot of the conversations surround discrediting misogyny and essentially criticizing women on a hypercritical lens. I mean, I'm not saying specifically you, but I would say, as you were saying, with the mass implication of media, I do think a lot of commenters or a lot of conversations are sparked in misogyny because it is a controversial topic. And it's a topic that can be very reactionary for women.
Well, didn't you, when I asked the question earlier, didn't you just outright say, yeah, I think the podcast is misogynistic?
I was reading from what I had said a year ago, and the notion that
didn't you tell my staff that the podcast, Nick, did she?
I said I was blocked on Instagram because I called that podcast misogynistic.
I don't even think in your original messages, did you even say misogynistic?
Yes, I did.
I think
if
you
you
said
want to pull it up again.
We could pull it up again really quick, just so I can scan it. Nick. I mostly zoned in on exploitation. There's a lot of exploit.
Well, I mean, yeah, he specifically picks people that have no debate experience, barely any real world experience. They're usually like a handful of them are usually like from the college town that the show is in. It obviously exploits a certain dynamic between like the people on the left are always like Brian, who asks the same questions every single time, so he has lots of practice. I'm pretty sure this blonde girl is like a conservative YouTuber podcaster who like also has a lot of experience with confrontational conversations. And then the rest of these are just like regular people. So obviously they're not going to be ready and have all the facts like right on the tip of their tongue for these conversations. So is it exploitation? I don't know. Is he kind of taking advantage of a method that gets him like clicks and views and stuff? Yeah, probably.
Exploitation, young women, women of color, it's up. I don't know if I saw an accusation of actual misogyny.
I'm sure my prospect of downplaying the woman experience was centralized around misogyny. Yes, that's correct.
But correct me if I'm wrong, but I do think you indicated either behind the scenes, in messages, or even on the show that you view the podcast, I don't know if it's myself, as misogynistic.
She literally just said that she views the chat as misogynistic, which is true. They say crazy, crazy things. They pay hundreds of dollars to say absolutely insane things.
Yes.
And then I think you did too?
Yeah, I mean, yes. Can I ask you like, sorry, can I ask you like a question and you...
Oh, I do know who that is. She's actually okay. She might be able to push back on this a little bit.
Respond to it, engage with it, like in good faith and so genuine.
Well, allow me to ask a couple of my questions first, but you think that the...
Short answer, no, he can't.
Podcast is misogynistic.
I believe that you benefit from misogyny, and I think that has misogynistic...
from misogyny.
Well, here's my question. I'm just going to ask it.
Well, hold on. I'm in the middle of...
Well, you asked me a question. My question is a response to what you just asked. Why do you think it is that every person who sends you money is saying something misogynistic if you don't benefit from misogyny?
Are you new to the internet? Like, do you realize how when you have anonymity and you have...
They don't post anonymously, though. A lot of them him and Andrew know who they are. Some of them post and their picture of their face comes up next to their comment. Like they pay money so that everyone knows that it's them saying the message. Like she's not talking about like the live chat that just flies by the screen. She's talking about the people that send in super chats and stuff. Like this is all obvious, Brian.
Have just total on YouTube. These are all anonymous people. Super toxic. I don't co-sign. I even said I disavow some of their statements. You might not co-sign,
but I'm asking why. I mean, none of it's like, say, anti-Semitic. None of it's like other isms that we could do with our anonymity. It's all sexism and misogyny. So why do you think those people are watching you and sending you money, if not you benefiting from misogyny and stoking that for your own personal benefit?
Well, I think you're making a lot of assumptions there
that
are
mean,
not based in reality at all.
You can read the comments and say they're misogynist. If you say they're not, that doesn't make them
doing
not.
a live.
Fine, then all the commenters who comment on your behalf are misandrous then.
Sure. Go for it.
Oh, okay.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah, that makes a lot of sense, right?
So, again.
Who comments on her behalf? The people paying money to Brian send in crazy sexist and misogynistic comments all the time. If he actually disavowed those comments, he would ban those people from chat. But he doesn't ban those people from chat because he wants their money. So he literally profits off of the thing that he says he disavows. Sorry, that's not a disavowment.
Everything's anonymous. As a man, I don't know how to take responsibility for what other people say. So I can have a conversation about...
You ban them from chat. That's how.
The things that I discuss on the podcast, but I can't be like, I don't know how to be responsible for what somebody else says, especially somebody who says it anonymously. So
I didn't say you were responsible for it, but I think you benefit from it and you intentionally engage with those comments and you stoke that kind of discord.
So did you say you consider yourself a feminist?
I do.
Okay. So you benefit from a misandrous system. Now, I'm one podcast. You were talking about systemic. What was the other word you used? There's systemic, and then there was another word I'm trying to remember.
Institutional?
Institutional. So I have one podcast. You're a feminist. I have absolutely no power compared to the absolute Goliath that is feminism. You're laughing. Every single university in this country has a feminist studies program, a women's studies program, a gender studies program. Every single universities, all these universities are systems, and these systems have $100 million endowments. That's what I'm up against.
A right-winger was just elected president, and Gen Z has been trending right. So what is this Goliath you're fighting, Brian, here alone in your corner of the internet, making hundreds of dollars from psychotic super chats?
You guys have all the power. Feminism has all the power. It has infiltrated all the institutions of higher education, government, media, corporations. Do you think my message is the mainstream? I'm the counterculture.
No, I don't think
I'm the counterculture. You, as a feminist, possess all the systemic and institutional power in this country.
I would disagree with that. I think that's
How is that
inane.
in government, in media, in corporations, in the higher education system? Feminism has 100% control. It is the status quo. How can you sit here and say that? And feminism preaches an absolutely man-hating ideology. The core tenet of feminism is the patriarchy theory, which in my view is a absurd conspiracy theory.
What would you say the patriarchy theory is?
I mean, there's different definitions of it. It's this idea that men hold all the power, women are precluded from having any power, and that men as a class are oppressors and women are the oppressed. if that's what you're teaching people in these systems, in this systems of education, you're teaching women to have absolute contempt and hatred towards men. If you're teaching women that they are oppressed and that men are the fault of that and that men are the oppressors, you hold all the cards, you hold all the power.
So what do you think we should be teaching women?
Well, I think that the first thing is that if you experience any sort of ridicule whatsoever from a dynamic, that you don't disparage them. Instead, you hear what they have to say. In this particular case, Brian points out something which is very interesting. Who holds the institutional power? Is it the incel or the feminist? You tell me.
I would say that incels do not hold any institutional power, but I would say this is also getting away from my original question, which was, I mean, I guess it's not a question, it's more of a statement. You benefit from misogyny. It doesn't matter who has the institutional power.
You benefit from misogyny. If you didn't, you wouldn't be here right now.
I benefit from misogyny?
You must, because your claim here is that a bunch of misogynists are having you on to spread your message.
That's not why he had her on. He had her on to try to dunk on her worldview as much as he could. Like, that's not why he has these girls on. And Andrew knows this.
I mean, I guess in that way I do benefit from it, but then
I guess you do. I guess you benefit from all this misogyny.
So you admit that he also benefits from it. He also benefits from it, right?
I don't even know what that argument is, though.
I'll let you reclaim.
It's the money they send you. That's the argument. They send you tons of money. She's not making any of that money. None of them are making any of that money. He might give them like a stipend to come on the show. I think I've heard that somewhere. But you make the money from the chats that you allegedly disavow, but it's the same chatters every time, and they're not really anonymous. You and Andrew know who most of them are. I know this. If you really disavowed them, you'd ban them from chat. If they were saying things that you disavow, you'd ban them from chat. You have moderators. Your moderators in chat say the same crazy crap the rest of your chat says.
Classify the word to.
You mean like how Matt Dillahunty has dumbass Christians on the dunk on Christianity? Matt Dillahunty's kind of weird. I don't really like follow him that much. Bro, are you mad? No one's sending you money. My channel is brand new and I do this for fun. I make plenty of money at work. Thank you.
Misogyny. As long as you say that a bunch of patriarchist misogynists are benefiting you by allowing your message to go out to them. Go ahead and say that for us, if you don't mind.
The thing is, my message is not going out to a sympathetic crowd right now. I mean, you can see who's watching and who's sending money. No one who's listening is going to... I didn't know what this podcast was when they invited me on. I was invited on 2 hours beforehand.
That's also incorrect, just so you know. Hang on. Let me just give you some framing. I understand what you're framing.
I have a brand new channel with like 40 subscribers. What on earth would I need a moderator for? If someone says something crazy in my chat, I just ban them myself.
Is steel manning it back. Hey, I understand, but I'm in a hostile crowd. But you're really not. You might be in a hostile crowd right now with the chat, which is currently right here. However, millions of people will likely see the clips that come off of this podcast, and you will get a sympathetic ear from that. And I also don't buy that you didn't know what this podcast was.
I didn't.
I'm sure that you seem like you're the type who's diligent and does your research. Are you not that kind?
I don't watch podcasts. I don't know.
You don't? So you just agree blindly to just whatever anybody offers you?
Hold on. Yeah. Okay.
Wait, yes?
No.
Did you just say yes?
Would you like to move on, or would you like me to respond?
No, I would like to just finish this real quick. I'm almost done.
Okay,
you don't
Andrew.
mind.
All right.
That was a joke. I don't actually.
No, okay, you don't actually. So you didn't do any of your
excuses. I'm the moderator. That's who they are. It's me. I'm the moderator.
due diligent research before going on a podcast. You didn't have no idea what was going to happen. You had no idea that this was a dating podcast
Andrew,
where it's an adversarial relationship between the males and the females. You had no clue.
No, it was marketed as a dating podcast, but I kind of just did it because it sounded fun. I mean, the fact that it's hostile is
Go ahead. Final thing, and I'll go.
I was just gonna say, I'm not saying that so this is what you do. This is my only point was that you benefit from people's misogynistic viewpoints, and if that makes me benefiting from it too,
you do
sure.
too as well, right?
Sure, on this day I'm benefiting from it, but only one of us has the podcast and does it continually. I'm just a guest benefiting from it on this day.
How could you blame a bunch of misogynist, patriarchist lunatics
Andrew,
for promoting
you? Center, please.
Okay.
No, can you center?
No, yeah. How can you blame a bunch of evil misogynists for allowing you to get your message out there? Does that sound like misogyny?
I mean, yeah, because they're benefiting from the misogynists who are watching.
But you're also benefiting from the misogyny.
I already admitted.
Do I want a medal? What color?
To that, sure. Today I'm making money from it.
How is this even a criticism then?
I don't even
Wouldn't this mean that misogyny was good? Wouldn't that mean misogyny is good if you're benefiting from it?
I don't even really understand.
Doc Vinably donated $200. To paraphrase Rush Limbaugh, the Whatever podcast is equal time pushing back against the systemic misandry of feminism. Evidence, The Boy Crisis by Farrell.
That's not a complete sentence.
Very well put, Doc Vinablis.
Not very well put.
Okay.
I just think it's weird that it seems like
he is after he destroyed an entire culture of progressive scumbags.
Can you hear me?
Yes, that's true.
Can you hear me?
Another.
Can you hear me?
Devon Jackson donated $200. As someone who's sent as much if not more money to this podcast than anyone, I can assure you I've never said anything misogynistic, so from the bottom of my heart, fuck you. The individual, not the woman.
So, okay, you're saying that I benefit, but what is really, thank you, Devon, I don't really understand your argument here, because, like, let's say, for example, Joe Biden received political contributions from a, like, radical feminist group that hates men.
Which he does.
Sure. Like, does that mean that just because he receives the support of a radical group that he necessarily, and look, I don't want to get into Joe Biden's views on shit, but does that mean that he co-signs those views because he has received?
Jim Bob. Oh, hey, Jim Bob. I would do debates, depending on the topic. There's some topics that are boring, not really interesting, but
the support of said group. And we've seen this a lot from Trump, where Trump will get but
I'm brand new, so like there's nothing you would find on me debating like live yet, if that's what you're asking.
Endorsement from somebody who's a radical in some way, and then that is somehow it must mean it's a reflection on Donald Trump's precise political views and ideology, when that's not the case. So I'm just not really sure what your argument is.
I didn't say you were co-signing it. That your own opinions on women are your own, but my only argument is that you're benefiting
Grid
from it
One
financially.
Motorsports donated $200.
Okay.
I rebuke the claim of misogyny. However, I will call stupid and would prefer brutal honesty to comfortable lies. I can see why you would not. The patriarchy is here to help you, not Brixton.
Thank you, Grid One Motorsports.
Why do they all call him Brixton? If someone could answer me that one in the chat, that I have no idea.
Appreciate it. Okay, so you view the podcast as anyone here else think the podcast is misogynistic?
I don't really watch it, so I am not able to determine that.
Look, I just want to say this, and I'll make it quick. I find it weird that a lot of your audience seems to either, I wouldn't say that they hate women, but it's like women that do like OnlyFans or like sex work, and then they pay a lot of money just so they can like insult women, and that's odd to me. I'm not saying what everyone else at the table is saying, but I'm saying that that is weird and it's negative.
Exclude the viewers, exclude the audience of the things that are discussed on the podcast. Do you view the podcast as misogynistic?
No.
Okay, but
it's a typo from Discord. Oh, so it's Brian's fault. Got it. Because I've seen that like a lot of times.
You two do. So I have a question. You use the word. How do you Split, please. Ooh, okay. How do you define misogyny?
I would say that it's not opinion-based, rather the instigating of anti-woman concepts. So anytime you ask a question, there's kind of an automatic rebuttal. So you're going into it of, oh, well, women should do this but shouldn't do this, and women should feel this way but they feel this way, or putting words into everyone's mouths, I think kind of promotes this idea of misogyny. Obviously it's a blanket term, and
the last feminist on whatever had a 150 IQ. Actually, that was 2 feminists ago. And what happened to her? Oh, yeah. One of her viewers had to bail her out monetarily so she could leave the debate. And now I think she's like suing Brian, and she had to take a week off from work. That was sad.
I do feel as it was overused, and I apologize.
Jim Bob's that really you? I won't speak for Jim Bob, but that is his title and the picture, and I'm pretty sure that's Jim Bob. So that's cool. Hey, Jim Bob.
But I do think to some capacity benefiting off of the hatred or...
You're not answering the question.
Okay, my perspective of misogyny. I define misogyny.
This is the problem with all this. This is a problem with the word misogyny, the word feminism, the word misandry, that they don't mean anything. They all have this massive amount of baggage attached to them. So even if they did mean something, it's pointless to use them in conversation. Like, you have to be, if you're going to make a criticism of the podcast, you have to be really, really specific. And I've seen this happen quite a few times where they'll come on and they'll have criticisms for the podcast, but they don't, first of all, they never have an actual example. Like, literally just write down an example, like on your hand, so that when he asks you for one, you actually have one. Like, you wrote a whole email about how horrible the podcast is, and you don't have one example. You can't define misandry. It's just, it's insane.
Misogyny as expressing hatred toward...
I'm not sure we actually agree on all... Oh, you're talking to Jim Bob. I'll answer anyway. But probably libertarianism. That last guy you debated didn't seem to know a goddamn thing about the... Yeah, I actually saw the debate about rights against that guy, and that was... I actually didn't see the whole thing because it was just becoming circular because he couldn't understand what Jim Bob was saying at all. That was unfortunate.
Towards women from a gender standpoint rather than an objective.
I mean, the basis of his understanding of rights is fundamentally flawed anyway, so he would never have gotten there anyway. But, you know, it is what it is.
Opinion or material matter, such as hating on a woman for how she looks, telling a woman that she is incompetent.
Am I a fan of whatever? Not really. I think it's very interesting to watch. So define fan. Like, I mean, I watch movies and like, I don't like identify with the characters, but like, I think they're interesting to watch. So like, this is very interesting to watch. I don't really meet women or men that think like the way the chat thinks and Brian thinks and the way that these women think, like in actual real life. Like I just, this whole thing doesn't seem like an accurate representation of how like people really interact in the outside world. It just, that's not been my experience out in the world. And there's like sort of merit to both sides, like right with this clip in particular. So like Brian keeps saying he doesn't benefit from any of this stuff, but he literally financially benefits from bringing on low quality debaters who aren't debaters at all. So even calling them debaters is crazy. And trying to just dunk on their worldview, which if you have a podcast and the point of your podcast is to get your worldview out over a different worldview, then that makes sense. So I understand what he's doing. When he denies it like this, it's kind of weird because it's obvious that that's what he's doing. Like everyone can see that that's what he's doing. He'll bring on someone with a ton of experience, like this girl over here, the with the green shirt. And then these other people have absolutely no experience arguing this stuff at all. And that's just like, that's obvious. Even some of the one-on-one debates, like that Kylie Brewer girl, the 150 IQ girl, I don't think, there's no way she's ever done a debate in her life. She interrupted the opening statement twice. She almost rage quit within like 60 seconds. Like, and that was supposed to be like a more formal one-on-one. Like, you couldn't have found anybody better than that. Like the girl from a few nights ago, Naima, she was a little bit better. She actually like was present for the whole conversation. Her understanding of philosophy pretty much fell apart after like the first probably like 40 minutes. Once they left just talking about voting and moved into philosophy, it just completely fell apart. But at least she was like there, you know?
Competent or dumb, more
whatever will have anyone that doesn't flake and cancel, that's true. And if people do flake and cancel, I'm pretty sure he just goes and finds like random college girls off the street who have no idea what they're walking into, because I've definitely seen some where there's girls there and they just have no clue what's going on. And then sometimes they'll try to give pushback, but like they weren't prepared for this. It's just like they don't know what's going on.
But if she is it misogynistic then to tell an incompetent person they're incompetent? Not that I've done that, but
is it an opinion?
He does take requests to come on the show. He also reaches out to some woman to have them come on the show. And then if they need to fill seats, I'm pretty sure he just sends one of his like assistants outside because they live in like a college town. So there's always like random girls walking around.
What? Dick Bick Energy donated $200. Would happily support a podcast that's promoting celibacy, virginity, and lifetime godly marriages. We're supporting because we...
All right, this clip is getting pretty circular, so we're going to scroll through these titles and try to find something a little more interesting, something a little more clickbaity. Let's see.